PK Subban was doing as well. Shoot the puck. They searched for the perfect shot, and they couldn't find it, and they finally got active late, got 2 goals, but it was too late. Meanwhile, Edmonton is the team I wanted to see move on. I'm glad they're moving on to play Dallas.
So my word would be great. They should feel great. And by the way, I had this yesterday, I believe, that Edmonton would win this game. They should feel great because they were behind in the series the whole way. They were behind 1-0, and 2-1, and 3-2. They won 6 and 7, 7 on the road, and they won 7 without either Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl scoring a goal.
Having a point.
They're going to be the underdogs against Dallas because Dallas is the 1 seed, and Dallas has already proven they can lose the first 2 games at home and still win a series. Let me tell you this, Mike. Edmonton comes in there. They got the top 4 point scorers in the entire playoffs. Draisaitl, McDavid, Evan Bouchard, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Bouchard's 20 points are the most ever. They're coming in hot. They're coming in hot, even though the last time they were in this, they were swept.
That's right, 2006, I think it was. Tony, most importantly, Edmonton has the best player. We talk about best players in professional sports in series in the postseason. This is not jolly old England. We don't just go to the top of the table and say, oh, they won because they won it overseas. We have playoffs here. Connor McDavid, it seems to be and needs to be his time. All right, much like Jason Tatum. Let's go, Connor McDavid. Let's move to a buffet of baseball news. Rafael Devers of the Red Sox hit a home run for the 6th straight game. Yanks blew a 4-1 lead in the 9th to end their 7-game winning streak. Freddie Freeman hit a slam to lead the Dodgers over the Diamondbacks. Chris Sale moved to 7-1 for the Bravos. Christian Yelich stole home for the Cheeseheads.
Baseball record is 8. It's not going to be Christian Yelich stealing home, although I watched video of that, and it's a really cool play. It's going to have something to do with the Dodgers and the Braves and the Phillies and what is looming with them. Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts are off to fabulous starts. If Freddie Freeman joins them with a fabulous start, there's no pitcher in baseball that wants to face them 1, 2, 3 at the top of the order, maybe 4 different times in a game. You know, you're not going to be able to do that. In terms of the Braves, they lost Spencer Strider to a Tommy John surgery. He was the only guy in the majors last year to win 20. But Chris Sale looks like he's replacing him. Chris Sale hasn't been healthy in 3 or 4 years. He's 7-1. His ERA is 2.22. Let me get this right. 70 strikeouts in 56 innings, right? And look, I know you hate the Phillies. I just saw them sweep the Nationals. They scored runs whenever they needed to score runs. They're the second highest scoring team in baseball. They're 26-6 lately. They're on a pace for 115 wins. Those 3 teams are the best in the National League. That's what's looming.
Yeah, Tony, let me go back to the specific question about most impressive last night. To me, what mattered the most is Freddie Freeman. Because if Freddie Freeman really joins, and he said like 290-something anyway, but if he joins Mookie and Ohtani at the top of that lineup, and then you got Max Muncy, who already attended a game where he had 3 home runs, and then you got Teoscar Hernandez. Come on. That lineup, there's a couple of pitchers. My God, this kid from Pittsburgh is going to bear watching because he throws at 100 miles an hour about 20 times a game if he doesn't have Tommy John next week. And, of course, my man on the Cubs, who is completely unhittable, more so for anybody in like 40 years since Fernando Valenzuela. That lineup, Tony, that lineup of the Dodgers, if Freddie Freeman gets it going, I don't know how you deal with them.
That's right. I agree. Totally agree. We move now to college football and the story that Clemson has added no new players from the transfer portal. They only had 1 last year. 2 years ago, Clemson was 11-3. Last year, they slid to 9-4, their worst record since 2010. Most people expected Dabo Swinney to finally come around and add transfers, but Swinney said, quote, "We like our guys," unquote. Wilbon, how do you feel about Swinney's decision to basically opt out of the portal?
Well, Tony, listen, a lot of coaches have, some famous ones. Famous ones who were famous in the last 5 years, famous ones who were famous before that. You and I know some of them, and they have said to us, you know, privately, if not publicly, I don't want any part of that. They don't. They said, enough. That's a new world. It's a different world. I don't want to deal with that. That is not the world that I grew up in, navigated, won a national championship in or more. And I can respect that. I don't know that it can work. Although maybe it'll be a tempest in a teapot and after 4 or 5 years, we'll come out on the other side of something that doesn't look all that different than what we had the previous 50. I don't think that's going to happen. But Dabo was very clear about his position. I know there's a split reaction down there, Tony, in South Carolina, to whether or not people think he can do it and can do it successfully. Because the old way he mastered. This way, not so much yet. My feeling is if he doesn't get it right this year, they're going to start talking about buyouts if he doesn't get it right real quickly.
Let me start with this. There are 4 D1 football playing schools in America that added no transfers. Clemson is one of them. The other 3 are Army, Navy, and Air Force. That's not how they operate. So Clemson is the only football school that didn't add any transfers. I'm not going to say anything bad about Dabo Swinney. He's got 2 national championships, been in a final game 4 times. But I think this is a bad decision, Mike. I don't see why you'd be a conscientious objector to this particular thing, which is legal now. You need to think of the transfer portal as a big pond where giant, great football players are swimming. I don't understand the principle not to take them. The new world order is NIL and the transfer portal. Don't tie one hand behind your back, Mike. Don't do
Tony,
it. I don't understand it.
I think once you have 2 national championships, that is your principle. You can say, I did this. I don't have to capitulate to anybody. You think Nick Saban loved the new world and the new horizon that college football was swimming to, even though he's the GOAT? Okay.
He got out.
Well,
so if
Dabo's
Dabo Swinney wants to get out,
but
if he wants to get out, get out.
He's still got some time
One
left.
of the greatest coaches we ever saw in any sport, Mike, was Dean Smith. One of the greatest ever. When the rules were changed, Dean Smith always adapted to the rules and always won. Let's take a break. Coming up, the Eastern Conference Finals tip off tonight. Do the Pacers have a chance against the Celtics? We'll ask Kendrick Perkins.
We're also going to ask him how he sees the Dallas Mavericks matching up with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Suppose Dabo wins this way, then what are you going to say to him?
Sweeney says that most guys aren't good enough to play for Clemson. But what about the guys who go to Alabama or Georgia? They're good enough.
Let's see.
The Pacers and Celtics start their series tonight, which makes it a perfect time to bring in our great friend from NBA Today, Mr. Kendrick Perkins. Let's start with this. Jason Tatum recently said he does not understand the criticism that the Celtics lack toughness. Do you understand it?
Hell yeah, I do. And look, it's not just physical toughness, it's mental toughness, right? When you talk about getting over that mental hump, when is Jason Tatum going to grow his game to be one of the best closers in the game when it matters the most? Because right now he's one of the worst when we're talking about guys that qualify, especially guys that are in his tier, in his age group. At the end of the day, Jason Tatum is worried about the wrong thing. The only thing that he needs to be worried about is joining the company of Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Kevin McHale, Cedric Cornbread Maxwell, and that's submitting his legacy in royalty, right? In the Celtics royalty. That's it. Everything else is misdemeanor. Go and prove us wrong if we feel like you're mentally soft. That's all I got to say. Prove us wrong.
Well, Perk, you proved almost everybody wrong in the last round because I was sitting right next to you the first day when you said, and you did it on this show, when you said you're going to take Minnesota to beat Denver, which happens. So we're going to test you again. Do you have the Pacers having any shot of beating your old team, the Celtics?
You know what? I got this series going 7 games. Series going 7 games because Kristaps Porzingis, we don't know if he's going to come back, and I believe he's the most important player on that roster. I don't know how much the Celtics can depend on in old Al Horford, although he's been playing some good basketball. But when you think about Indiana, let me say this. We're watching a team that is growing right in front of our eyes. And when I say growing, I'm talking about the adjustment that has been made. Right in the regular season, we're talking about one of, if not the best offensive team in the league. But what happened in that Knicks series, I saw that they were not afraid to get in the trenches and get dirty. They got physical with the New York Knicks. They responded to Rick Carlisle calling them out publicly. They paid attention to details, the defensive scheme that they had around Jalen Brunson, rebounding the basketball. So they have a mixture of old veterans and they have a mixture of youth that are being stars in their role. And when you have a championship leader in Pascal Siakam, who in my opinion has been the best player for the Indiana Pacers because he's leading the team in scoring, then absolutely they got a chance of beating the Boston Celtics. I have the Celtics in 7, but if the Celtics don't come out prepared and think that they're playing against the Cavs or the Miami Heat, they got another thing coming and they'll be sent home.
All right, I alluded already to Minnesota Timberwolves and you picking them correctly to beat Denver in this most recent round. How do you like Minnesota's chances in this next round against the Mavs? How do you see that matchup?
Oh, you been ready for this? Y'all ready for this one? I got Minnesota winning it all, okay? They have been putting on defensive clinics throughout this postseason. First sweeping the Suns, and then what they did to the defending champs and the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, winning game 1, putting on a defensive masterpiece in game 2, and then having one of the greatest game 7s of all time when your best player in Anthony Edwards goes 6 for 24 from the field, right? But they stayed true to their identity. That's getting stops. When you have a team that's bought in defensively, you have the personnel to go out there defensively and get stops on a consistent basis. I don't know a team that's still in the postseason that's going to be able to beat this Minnesota team 4 out of 7 times.
So we'll get you out of here on this, and this may now be a moot question because of your answer that Minnesota will win, because I was going to talk about Dallas and the skepticism about putting Luka Doncic on the same floor with Kyrie Irving, which seems to have worked so far. Why do you think it's working when most of us did not think it would work and it didn't work last year?
Because it's been all Kyrie Irving. Just think about the last series against Oklahoma City, right? Kyrie Irving had walked out of, I believe, a game 2 with 9 points, but he had a playoff career high with 11 assists, and he was doing the other things, right? Guarding SGA in the fourth quarter, being a guy that was talking and communicating, and being a leader, right? Did you hear what he told Derek Lively? Stop running away from being fouled and step up and make the free throws. Trusting the extra pass to get P.J. Washington shots in the corner where he all of a sudden came Ray Allen. And now what you saw is Luka started to follow. Kyrie Irving is the reason that the Dallas Mavericks are having success, and he's also the reason that him and Luka Doncic are able to coexist.
This is why we love having you. Thank you,
And guess what?
Absolutely,
Guess
Perk.
what? Guess what? Guess what, Will
Appreciate
Bourne?
it.
Guess what,
You
Will
stuck
Bourne?
with
Guess
me
what,
the rest
Tony?
of the week. You
I
and
got
stuck
something for
together.
y'all. I got something for y'all. I ordered y'all a chain, and we're going to wear it on set together. It'll be in a couple of weeks, and we're going to wear it on set together.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
I can't
sir.
wait to see Wilbon in that. ESPN coverage starts with NBA Countdown at 7 p.m. Eastern. Let's take one last break. Still to come, Caitlin Clark still looking for her first WNBA win.
She'll get it. I mean, people need to chill. Serena Williams tweets something intriguing.
I watched that game, Mike. I watched Caitlin Clark last night. Happy time, people. Happy 28th birthday, Josh Allen. Everybody keeps asking, is the Super Bowl window closing for Josh Allen in Buffalo? Why would it be at 28? Who wouldn't want Josh Allen? He's a two-time Pro Bowler, completed 66.5% of his passes last season. He's a proven bold runner, gained 524 yards on, I think, 100 carries. He had 15 rushing touchdowns, tied for the most among quarterbacks, 4th in passing yards, 5th in passing touchdowns. The concern is that receiver Stephon Diggs was traded away, but the Bills addressed that by signing MVS from the Chiefs and using their first draft pick on Florida State's Keon Coleman.
Tony, I'll admit, I root for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, I was covering the league for the Washington Post all those years when they were losing those Super Bowls. And it was just sort of you know this, you spend enough time in that part of New York. It means so much to them. And I, you know, outside my own circumstance, the Chicago teams, I'd like to see the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen win. I really would.
Not so happy anniversary, Anthony Rizzo. On this day 10 years ago, while Rizzo was with the Cubs, he swung and missed at pitches that hit him, not once, not twice, but 3 different times in a 24-hour span in a series against the Yankees. Rizzo is on the Yankees now. They aren't too concerned with him swinging at pitches that hit him, since they have signed him to 2 additional contracts since he got to New York. Rizzo suffered from post-concussion symptoms in the second half of last year, but he's bouncing back this year, hitting .261, 7 home runs, 23 RBI for the team with the best record in the American League.
At least Rizzo has been relevant, Tony. He really has been. Chris Bryant, the MVP, his teammate with the Cubs in the magical 2016, irrelevant. That barely out there sometimes. Javi Baez, we don't hear him, and hear about him. He was magical in that season and a couple of others for the Cubbies. Looks like they made the right move. But Rizzo, sort of the emotional favorite of a lot of us from that team, Tony.
Happy trails to the 4th straight game for the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark was on national television again last night, and again last night her 0-4 Indiana Fever lost. They've lost twice to Connecticut, twice to New York, who are combined 7-0. Clark had 17 points and 5 assists against the Sun, but the headline was she turned her ankle in the second quarter, went down on the floor in a heap, and had to be helped off the court. I was watching that game. I was actually afraid she broke her ankle. Turned out to be a sprain. She returned to the bench quickly and returned to the game in the second half. The good news is that Clark is drawing eyeballs to the WNBA, and she's shooting better, though her turnovers are still rampant.
Yeah, she is shooting better, Tony, and she's going to get there. I find this whole watch for a win a little annoying because there are other teams in the league, and you just mentioned 2 of them who haven't lost, who are very much worth watching, more worth watching right now than the Indiana Fever.
One correction, the Oilers were swept in the Western Conference Finals in 2022. 2006, which Wilbon talked about, was the last time they made the Stanley Cup final. Let's go quickly to the big finish. Serena Williams tweeted, quote, "I'm ready to hit some balls again," unquote. What does that say to you?
Nothing. I know Tom Brady's coming back too, right? I mean, you know, enough. Aaron Rodgers has no limitations, reportedly, at Jets OTAs. Is that significant?
No, he's healthy. Everybody knows he's healthy. Go play. Austin Reeves finished 11 shots back in an attempt to qualify for a Corn Ferry tournament. Are you impressed?
How great is that? He's a 2 handicap since he was nervous and shaking on the first tee. You and I know that feeling. We're out of our element. Good for Austin Reeves. 9 News in Australia reports the NFL's looking to play a regular season game down under. Does that make sense?
Of course, they're going to Brazil also. They go everywhere. It's just that the time change is so vast there. Last one, Mercury at Aces tonight. Who you got?
At Aces, man, they're really, really good. Now that is a team I want to watch a whole lot more than Indiana. The Aces. Mercury, though, Phoenix.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. Kim and Tony in Canada feel better.
Parsons not at Cowboys OTAs. He's due to earn about $18 million on his 5th-year option, but wants a new deal. Wide receiver CeeDee Lamb is in the same boat. Also didn't show up to OTAs. The trend continues with Bucs left tackle Tristan Wirfs. Jeremy Fowler reporting that he didn't show up and isn't expected as he looks for a new deal. Tampa has given out a slew of new deals led by Baker Mayfield. Rashee Rice is a suspect in an alleged assault May 6th at a Dallas nightclub, but police say that the person injured in the incident does not want to press charges. Rice's March traffic-related arrest is still pending. Slew of NFL players, as we are reporting, are looking for big deals, and some are not showing up for team activities. That includes Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, in line for a monster contract after leading the league in passing. So skipping OTAs or maybe not. Coach Mike McDaniel explains.
The good news about all is it's very black and white. He has been here for off-season activities. He has not been here for off-season activities. He has been both. And, I think, important in the player-coach relationship is communication. And, I think however things play out, as long as we're communicating and we're on our P's and Q's on what we need to get accomplished, then we have a fighting chance. And it's been a good exercise in our relationship this offseason.
That was about 37 seconds of Mike McDaniel saying nothing. Our Dolphins reporter Marcel Louis-Jacques joining us now with much more. Maybe that is what he's supposed to do. Marcel, you were there at practice today. What were Tua's teammates saying about his impact in this offseason?
Yeah, Kevin, in trademark Mike McDaniel fashion, he said Tua has been there for some of these offseason practices and he's been absent for others, but they are communicated absences. Let's keep that C word, communication, in mind. We'll get back to it later. I was at practice today. Tua Tagovailoa was not there. He was attending his former coach, Nick Saban's charity golf tournament. I'm told it's not an excused absence per se, but it was communicated with the team well beforehand. It's something that they were expecting. He was on the field for the Dolphins on Monday. Wide receiver Eric Uzukama said Tua is a leader. It sounds like that status is not at risk of changing anytime soon. Wide receiver Braxton Berrios said Tua looked good. He played well. He threw the ball accurately, and that's about what you'd expect from a quarterback in his third year within this system. So like I said, these aren't excused absences, Kevin. We're not going to use the H word. We're not going to call this a holdout quite yet. If it spills over to mandatory minicamp or training camp, all right, let's warm the vocal cords up a little bit. But for now, these are communicated absences and not something that worries the Dolphins right now here in May.
Keep in mind, ESPN Bet currently has Miami at 25-1 to win Super Bowl 59. Those odds tie with the Jets and the Falcons. Marcel, thank you so much. Tua is not the only quarterback playing on an expiring contract this upcoming season. He and Dak Prescott ranked within the top 5 in a variety of passing categories last season. Both are eligible for contract extensions from their respective teams. Over the last 3 seasons, Tua has been the more efficient of the two, but Dak has compiled a better record, higher QBR, and over 25 more touchdown passes. Marcus Spears continues to be on the program, back here with us. All right, when you look at the Dolphins and the Cowboys, which team is it most important to lock up the quarterback long-term before the start of the season?
Kev, it's Dak Prescott. No doubt about it. And listen, I think obviously the success that he's had throughout his tenure with the Dallas Cowboys. But Kev, think about this. Think about what I'm proposing here, right? If Dallas doesn't lock up Dak Prescott, they don't have a quarterback that's played significant time unless you're telling me Dallas is going to go out and spend a lot of money on another quarterback. I don't believe they'll be in position to get a top 5 pick in this year's draft that's coming up, because Dak will play too well for their team to be that bad. And then think about this with the guy that we're comparing him to. What if Miami doesn't sign Tua to a long-term contract and they know that Dak Prescott will be a free agency with nothing stopping him from choosing a destination of his liking? The Las Vegas Raiders know that Dak Prescott could potentially be a free agent. And Kev, there's a different connotation when we're talking about free agency and a guy can get tagged, or a guy has, in Dak Prescott, he has a clause that they have to have first right of refusal. This man is clear and free after he plays this season, making $55 million this particular year. So if we're talking about locking up a quarterback, and we know you can be in purgatory without one, the Cowboys have to get this done, and it needs to be daily attention on trying to get it done with Dak Prescott.
Yeah, the last time we were talking contract with the Cowboys and Dak, it was really Dak needs the deal. Now it feels like it's the Cowboys that need the deal, and you may want to have some earmuffs here. Both the Dallas Mavericks and the Dallas Stars currently in the conference finals. The last time the Cowboys were in the NFC Championship game was over 10,000 days. Swagoo, I'm sorry we're going to end the show that way with you here.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap on my Sports Center career. I'm done with y'all. I'm done with y'all, man.
He'll be back soon, trust me. Hey, look at that. Drake May, as we say in the NFL, the crossover into an NBA game, understanding and embracing, listen, holding a Celtics jersey, the new face of the Patriots, now in attendance, getting ready for Game 1, Pacers-Celtics tonight on ESPN. Meanwhile, out west, Game 1 is tomorrow night.
As the Mavs get ready for the Timberwolves, plenty of star power led by Luka, Kyrie against Ant-Man and Cat. Minnesota went 3-1 against Dallas during the regular season, outscoring the Mavs by 13 per game. Again, game 1 is tomorrow in Minnie, and Fresh Legs is back with us. Tim Legler here. What do you think will be the deciding factor on who wins this series?
I think the matchup with Luka Doncic, because it's a lot different, I think, than what Luka faced in the last round. I think the physical attribute you need to play Luka Doncic more than anything else is physical strength. That's what Lou Dort had. That's why it wore on him throughout the course of that series. When you have length and athleticism against him, Luka's not really affected by that because he's so strong, so wide. He gets you off of him with those shoulders. So Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Anthony Edwards, whoever the guys are that are going to be guarding him, I think Luka is going to be able to get some separation to a greater degree than he was able to against Dort. And I just think with Dallas, it's a more well-rounded and deeper offensive team than Denver. There are more guys that can make shots, more guys that can hurt you. They got the 2 stars, but they've also got 2 lob threats, and then they've got a number of guys that can knock down 3-point shots. So I think this is going to be Minnesota's biggest challenge defensively because of the way Luka Doncic can control these games. I'm looking the way that he manipulates this defense, which is the number 1 defense in the league. That's the key to the entire series.
All right, Luka coming off 3 straight triple dubs to end the series against OKC. Tim, thank you so much.
Thanks, Kevin.
Hey, much more of the NBA playoffs ahead here on SportsCenter as we continue the NBA countdown. Crew standing by to measure which star headed into the conference finals is under the most pressure to deliver. This time a week ago, Caitlin Clark was getting ready to make her highly anticipated debut in the WNBA. And last night, she got so close to getting that first dub. So after 4 losses to start the season, Michelle Steele takes a closer look at what's working and what might take more time in tonight's SportsCenter report.
Tuesday marks Caitlin Clark's first week in the pros and her first time experiencing something that never happened in college. 4 straight games, 4 straight losses.
You got to keep your head up, but you also have to get a fire within you that is upset and, not okay with, losing 4 straight to open the year. And I think our group has that, but also there's a sense of, this is helping us get better. And there's going to be a time this season where it really shows that these 4 games that we open the season with, and, it's going to pay off.
She said one of her goals this season is to come in every day with a positive attitude and trying to get better. She understands that the life of a number 1 pick on a team that was not in the playoffs, has not been in the playoffs since 2016, is going to be challenging. But she has remained really upbeat about it when we've spoken to her about it.
Rebecca Lobo was on the call Monday night in Indianapolis for the game against the Sun. Clark turned her ankle on a play late in the second quarter, but would return for a dramatic second half, including a logo 3-pointer to retake the lead in the 4th. She'd finished the game with 17 points and 5 assists in a narrow loss to Connecticut. While Clark has been more efficient offensively in the last 2 games, her 26 turnovers are the second most in WNBA history through the first 4 games.
The good news is the last 2 games, she's had a 1-to-1 turnover, assist to turnover ratio. Of course, that needs to be better, but at least it's not a negative ratio anymore. She is getting better. Her teammates are getting better. And if you're an Indiana Fever fan, I think you have to feel pretty good about the trajectory that the team is on right now, playing against 2 of the absolute best teams in the WNBA.
After opening the season against the Sun and the Liberty, 2 teams who are a combined 7-0 on the season, Clark and the Fever hit the road for games against Seattle, LA, and the defending champion Las Vegas Aces.
Win or lose, as Clark continues to rack up huge fan interest, sponsorship money shows she is in a league of her own, too. Wilson announcing that Clark is getting her own line of basketballs, making her the first player since Michael Jordan to get that honor. I'm Michelle Steele, ESPN.
With the arrival of name, image, and likeness payments in college also comes a dispute over money. Former Florida recruit Jaden Rashada is suing head coach Billy Napier